Hey everybody, Rosematter here, and welcome to my second tier list of 2024. Last week, I ranked my favorite and least favorite Higurashi characters. If you did miss that video, you can check it out in the description down below. So yeah, it only makes sense for me to follow it up with ranking Umineko characters. And if you have, read the series, you know that there are lots of characters in Umineko. And I'm sure you're looking at the characters here and you're noticing some are missing. I don't want the video to be like 2 hours long, and there are also just some characters I don't really have any real opinion on, especially because it has been a while since I have read Umineko. So I decided rather than just putting them on here and saying like I have no feelings or opinions about them, I would condense it to the characters that I actually do have things to say about. So you'll be seeing like a lot of the minor furniture is missing. Gertrude and Cornelia, Claire. Yeah, you'll just see some minor characters. I just don't really have anything to say about them. So let's focus on the characters that I do have opinions about. This is going to be a long video regardless, so let's just get right into it. Okay, well, we've got the main characters. We've got like the big dogs right at the front. I mean, you've got Beatrice. You can't put her in anything but S tier, in my opinion. I mean, has any Umineko tier list been done where Beatrice has not been up at the very top? What is there to say about her? She's so multifaceted, and the thing is, this is going to be extra tricky too, because so many of these characters have different sides to them, different versions of them. So I could have even divided Beatrice into basically Chick Beatrice, the real version of Beatrice, can't remember what her last name was, Castelloni, something like that, like the actual version of her. There are so many different versions of her. I'm just kind of all-encompassing her into like one character, but she's just so entertaining. That's the one word I can think to describe her. She's tragic, but she's as an antagonist who eventually becomes something more than an antagonist. She is just the heart of this the story. It wouldn't be nearly as fun to read if she wasn't here, and she just she can go all over the place. She can just be mocking the way that she just mocks Badler and has so much fun with the game, but then you do see her softer sides in some of the chapters. To her, kind of like as we go further on with the story, you see her relationship with Badler, what it truly is, and how tragic of a character she can be. But like I said, multifaceted character. She has so many different versions of her, so much dimension to her. And every time she's on screen, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what to expect, and she keeps you on your toes. I think one of my favorite moments that I can remember of her, and it's such a minor moment, is the Red Truth, where she just calls Badler incompetent. And the Red Truth is basically like an absolute truth that he is incompetent, and the way that she mocks him. And of course, the way she says his name is just fantastic as well. I could go on and on about her, but she's nothing except S tier, in my opinion. And I feel like there would be so much arguing if I put her anything below that, but this is how I truly feel. She is an amazing, entertaining, layered character who can be so funny, so tragic, and I love her. So what else can I say? Another character that I love so much, and I'm going to put him above her because he is my favorite character in the series. And I've said this before because I did a visual novel protagonist tier list, which you can also check out. I do actually have a playlist on my channel of just the tier lists I've done. I did one on my favorite visual novel protagonist, and he's at the top. He's my favorite visual novel protagonist. He is my favorite character in Umineko. He's my favorite character in the When They Cry series. I have not played Sakutaro, but as it stands, he is my favorite character. Similar to Beatrice, he goes through such character growth through this. And I've mentioned this too. At the very beginning, I didn't care for him much. I saw him as kind of like the stereotypical teenage boy, similar to Keiichi from Higurashi. I didn't have a great first impression. I saw him as just maybe a little dumb, a jock type character, like rich boy. The thing that really put me off of him was when he made some kind of weird comments about his, what is 8-year-old cousin, Maria, and also was talking about grabbing his other cousin, Jessica's boobs. So I was like, oh man, one of these characters. But oh my gosh, even from the very first episode, he surprised me by how intelligent he is, how he loves his family so much. He's so empathetic. He's not afraid to show his emotions and to cry. He gets angry, but he does get very sad as well, and he's not afraid to show those emotions. He's not ashamed of it, which I found refreshing. And his fights with Beatrice are so entertaining. You know, he's another heart of the story. And then you see the growth. You learn about the pain that he has caused to Beatrice. And at first he doesn't realize this, but as the story goes on, he realizes the power his words and his actions have caused this character, and he wants to better himself. And just like he's had some amazing moments, he has some real dumb moments too. Of course, we have to talk about the small bombs theory. Probably not much stupider than some of the theories I thought up while I was reading Umineko, let's be fair. But yeah, he just is so much more intelligent and sharp than I gave him credit for, but he has his real dumb moments too. So like similar to most of the characters on this list, he is a very multi-layered, complex character, and he's just written fantastically, and just to see him go through that arc is amazing. So yeah, I knew I was going to be putting him at the top of the list. I'm sure people who follow my Umineko playthrough or who have watched my visual novel tier list are probably not surprised he's at the very top. Another character, we're starting strong, guys. Another character that's going on S tier, I'm going to put her just below Beatrice's, Ange Ushiromiya. I love her too. The Ushiromiya siblings, man, they are something else. They are so cool. Angie has also a very good character transformation. Seeing what she went through growing up, losing her family, and she's kind of like, she's a cold, cool character. She's a very like badass character. She has a lot of hurt in her heart, and she wants to know what happened to her family, and she's just so stubborn and determined and willing to put her life on the line and just go through hell to learn what happened. And she was another one. Once her character was introduced, as soon as I met her, I was like, I love her. She's great, and she's just consistently great throughout. You know, I think she was introduced like, what, halfway through the story, maybe even a little bit further in. But she had so many great moments too. And I just love her personality, and she does soften up, and you can see how much love she had for her family. And then the turmoil between her and Eva, and like learning to forgive Eva after kind of learning more of the backstory of what happens. So it's just kind of seeing her go through, just basically she kind of wants to like die. She doesn't really want to live, but she wants to know what happened, and she basically like, once I figure out what's happened, I'm like just okay, just not being around anymore, and then just learning to kind of get over that. And oh, the moment at the end, even though I'm sure you guys have probably read Umineko or watched Umineko, so you probably know all this, but of course I have to give a spoiler warning. The moment at the end with her reuniting with Badler, it's amazing. And yeah, just a moment where like they go back to they see their family, or Badler, I guess, goes to see his family at the end. That's another thing for Badler and Angie, like their reunion, and like him going back and kind of like seeing his family at the end was just such a great way to end the story. But yeah, Angie's a fantastic character. She had some really emotional moments, badass moments. She's great. Okay, Burn. She is a great character. I don't know if she's quite S tier. I know a lot of people love her. They're probably gonna, you guys might be a little upset at me. I'm gonna put her at A though. She is another great antagonist as well. There's so many great antagonists, so many great villains in this story. If you even call them villains, but like just the delight she has playing the game, but then at the same time, she's just so cold. She's cold most of the time. Her relationship with Lambda is great too. But the moments where she like just delights in kind of basically like enjoying the game is fantastic. She's a very entertaining character, but she's more low-key. Beatrice is a very flamboyant villain antagonist. At first, Burn is like, yeah, I'm not gonna say she's boring, but she's not very emotional. She has that kind of like glazed over look a lot of the times, but when she does have those moments, they're fantastic. So we're gonna put her up on A. Featherine. I'm gonna put her B. I don't really have too much feeling about her. The reveal was pretty cool when you learn, you know, like who Featherine is, the whole thing about like Hachijo, and then it's like, oh, Featherine. But I don't remember too much about her, to be honest. I just know that like her interactions with Angie were kind of neat, and like the way that she talked was very, it would get a little annoying sometimes. The way that she talked was very roundabout and almost talking in riddles, but that's the story in general. Is it just confuses you a lot of the times and just trying to kind of figure things out. But she was just a hard character to pin down, so I gotta put her at B. All right, let's put Lambda at, we're gonna put her a little bit below Burn. But we're still gonna put her on A tier. She is very entertaining as well. Definitely more of a energetic character than Burn is. She's a great foil to her. I love their back and forths with each other, where they're like, she's obsessed with Burn, and just it very, very like Rika Sadako, right? It's like you can see kind of the, I know people said that Lambda, I said that she reminds me of Sadako, but some people say she's kind of like a version of young Mio Takano. But I don't know, I get the relationship between them is very like Rika Sadako to me. Maybe that's just me. But just the way that she kind of played a neutral party in the game, but she kind of like went out of her way to throw things off a little bit to keep things entertaining, and working with Badler at times, like you couldn't really pin her down either. With the you know, the game masters, you never quite knew what to expect with them, but she was another very entertaining character. All right, speaking of entertaining characters, we've got the great detective Erika Furudo, and people might be surprised where I'm going to put her on the list because she kind of drove me bonkers during my playthrough. I'm actually going to put her at the top of A tier because, as annoying as she could be with just how condescending and arrogant she was, I can't deny that she's an entertaining character. And just the way she just kind of comes in to the game. And it's funny too, because like she becomes Badler's rival, but they're both trying to find the truth. They both deny witches, but she goes about it in such a way. What does she say? Like, something about like raping something or other. But like she is very like doesn't believe in love. She doesn't treat the game with love. She's willing to do whatever she can to prove herself right, which really ticks Badler off. So despite the fact they should be kind of on the same page, he ends up basically fighting against her. Once she like, I believe it was when she put Natsui, she said that she was the culprit, and Badler just hated the way she played the game so much that he was like, I am going to fight against you. And I just love the way that at first, like when she showed up, everyone seemed to like her, like, oh, she's so prim and well behaved and what an intelligent girl. And then very quickly she just pisses everybody off because she's just such a condescending little shit. But she just brings something completely new to the story. Like maybe when the story is starting to kind of like repeat itself a little bit, she's like a monkey wrench thrown into everything, and I love the way that she just does whatever she can to prove herself right. And just her catching L's over and over again, and she just gets more and more pissed off. Like, eventually Badler takes her place as the game master, and she just vows revenge. And I just love Badler and Erika, like the two of them. Badler versus Beatrice is my favorite, you know, like the two of them battling each other. But Erika is a second for like the antagonist for Badler, just you know, wanting to get one over on her wanting to get one over on him. It's great. So yeah, I'm even surprised at myself for putting her as high as I did, but like thinking back, I just like she had so many funny moments, and yeah, so we're gonna put her on A. She may move down as I like move characters around, but we're gonna keep her there for now. Okay, Maria. I'm gonna put her at high B. Another interesting character. I have a lot of sympathy for her, similar to Sadako. You know, given the conditions of how she grew up, and my heart breaks for her. But you know, at times it was a little grating, the way that she acted. But like, I understand why she did it, and the chapter that focused on her home life with Rosa, absolutely heartbreaking. So you can see how she became the person she is, like the way that she clung to magic and her imaginary friends and her grimoire, because you know, she just like she needed something to escape to. And the moments where she went like creepy Maria are so memorable, so cool. But I feel bad putting her at B. Like, she's a good character, and she had some great moments, and she had just like such an interesting backstory. Like, when it's all revealed why she is the way that she is, why she oh my gosh, what is the phrase that she says? Why am I blanking on this? Like, when you learn what that means. So it's ooh ooh, and she would say that. I can't believe I forgot about that. I think maybe I blocked it out of my mind. And then learning, I think it was like some sort of spell for her mother to love her or something like that. Like, how heartbreaking is that? Oh, you know what? The more I talk about it, we're gonna put her on low A. I feel guilty for putting her on B. And yeah, she's an understated character, but she brings so much heart to the story, and like learning about the whole thing about what magic is. And yeah, we'll put her low A. All right, so we got Kumasawa next. I'm just gonna stick her on C. Basically just kind of a forgettable character. I know I said that I was gonna try and admit characters that I don't have much opinion about. But Kumasawa, like, she was around for pretty much every chapter. And she did play some parts. I just remember much, like, about her obsession with mackerel and stuff, but like she seemed like, and you know, being lazy and being a little bit of a coward, but I don't know, I like her. She's grandma, so I don't have much opinion about her, but she did play some part in the story, so I'll just put her at C. Okay, Dlanor A. Knox. She is so cool. Would it be too high for me to put her S tier? She didn't have that much screen time, but the time she did have, my goodness, like, she's just so... I don't know if being badass is enough of a reason to put her on S tier, but let's be honest, I put Akasaka at S tier, so... all right, you know what? Let's put her... I'm going to put her low S tier. She's just... I love her design. She's just got that cat-like appearance. I love, like, the purple hair, the yellow eyes. And I love when she would say, oh, here I am not remembering the phrase. It was... like, she would say it in English a lot of the time. Like, it was the same thing where she seemed very calm, and she played the game, like, she had her, like, the mystery rules that she had to play by. And she was very methodical about it. Like, she seemed like she was just a soldier, coming in, and she can't break those rules, and she just seems like no nonsense. But then she had those moments. I have to look it up. What is it that she says? It's die the death, sentence to death, the great equalizer, the death. Like, so cool.
Die the death, sentence to death, great equalizer is the death.
And her helping out Badler. Like, what a great person to have on your side. So she's on here because of just vibes. She just was such a cool character. You guys can argue with me whether you think S tier is a little bit too high for her, but that's how I feel about that. Okay, Eva. Oh, she's probably the character I changed my opinion on the most. I just flipped-flopped so much with each chapter and learning about her. I thought she was really cool at first introduction, and then I didn't like the way she bullied Natsumi. And then learning more about her, she's just like, it's really cool with her being kind of like one of the only daughters in the Ushiromiya family, and that basically having no authority. It's all basically about, like, can you give Kinzo a grandson or like a child to be a worthy successor. Like, that's all the women are basically good for. And Eva worked so hard, like girl boss. Like, she's such a girl boss. She worked her ass off to be intelligent. She wanted to prove herself that she's worthy of being the successor to the Ushiromiya family, and just completely disregarded by Kinzo. So I can understand her frustration. And then learning that she's the one who actually solved the epitaph, because of course she did. She's arguably the smartest one of the family, at least of the blood relatives. We'll get into that later. But like, she's just conniving. She's intelligent. She's not one to be fucked with. And also, like, she can do, I can't remember what martial arts it is. So like, she's very physically tough as well. And then I kind of like went like, oh, I respect her. She's a little bit of a despicable character at times. I mean, none of the siblings of the Ushiromiyas, or the children of Kinzo, are good people. And there's very rarely in this series like just fully good people. A lot of them have their flaws, but that's what makes them such well-written characters. And then you learn about, like, after everything, when she survived, she was the only one to survive the explosion, and having to look after Angie, and then like seeing their relationship, and she seems like such a cruel aunt. And then you learn the truth later on about their relationship, and seeing like Angie learn to forgive Eva, and then learning like what Eva went through, like all of the harassment she got because people assumed she was the one that was behind the explosion. So she went through a lot. So I still don't say I like her character as like liking her as a person. I am gonna put her at high B though. She gives me a lot of conflicting emotions. Gap, I'm gonna put her at high C. High C. I like her design. She has a very flashy design. She has some fun moments. I don't know, she's kind of a fun, flirty, I don't know, just a fun character. Like, I just liked when she showed up. She didn't really give much to the story, but yeah, I don't know. I'll just put her at high C. All right, then we got Genji. I feel bad I didn't have a better picture of Genji. Genji, I'm gonna put in the middle. I'm gonna put him mid B. Your typical stoic butler, but learning more about him when he was younger, his loyalty to Kinzo, and the thing. Oh, and then I forgot to say with Kumasawa, like, she definitely, at first, she doesn't seem like she, gives much to the story, but when you learn the truth about a certain character who I don't have on the list, the Sayo, but like learning the lengths that they both went to conceal the child and like basically raise them. It's definitely interesting for sure. A little bit of a tough position that they were put in. But yeah, I like, and Genji did have some really cool moments. Like when he was fighting. Was he fighting? I can't remember. He's fighting one of the furniture, I think. But so it's like he's that butler, and he's kind of older, and you don't expect much from him, but like he has some badass moments. So we'll just put him mid B. All right, George. You guys know I have my feelings about him. Oh, I don't like him. I don't like George. To me, he's just I I found his relationship with Shannon to be really icky. I'm sure he's a good guy, but he just gave me really bad vibes. I don't like him, so I'll put him high C. Like, I know he tried to do right by Shannon, like he did seem to genuinely love her, and the fact that he was willing to marry her despite his family, like his parents wouldn't approve of it. But I still don't like the fact that he kind of like he's quite a bit older than Shannon, I believe, or at least a couple of, and it was more, I didn't like that despite the fact he seemed to truly love her and she seemed to love him, I felt like she was kind of in a position where because she's a servant, that she couldn't quite really say no to George. And like he was basically telling her all these things like, we're going to do this and this and this, and I'm planning out our whole life. And I don't know, it feels like he didn't really give her much agency. I think more he loved the idea of Shannon rather than truly loved her. That's just my opinion. And like learning about his backstory too, being a little bit of a creep, he is trying to make up for it. And like, I also didn't like the fact that he just kind of he wanted to brush everything under the table, I guess, because he's kind of like the front runner to be the eventual successor to the Ushiromiyas. He's certainly acting like them. Like with Maria's abuse, they literally saw it happen, and he's basically like, it's not our business, let's stay out of it. I didn't like that. So yeah, we're gonna keep him at C. Hideyoshi, we'll put him just under his wife. I liked him. He was kind of like the fun uncle. Now it could be because he's a businessman where he just knows the right things to say to people. He definitely maybe a little bit over complimentary. It seems like he was kind of the peacekeeper. Whenever there was tension, he tried to kind of like shut it down a bit. That was his way of dealing with it. But yeah, like maybe a little bit of that sleazy businessman, and then learning about what him and Eva were up to and stuff. So he's not innocent in this, but he gives me the vibes of like when you go to a family reunion, he's like the uncle that you want to go hang out with because he just seems like he'd have like the best candy for you and he'd have great stories. And I don't know, I liked him. And I also loved how much he just basically worshipped Eva. It's like he knew that he had scored. Like he basically was shooting past his league, like she's out of his league, and he's like, I understand this and I appreciate my wife and I love her. He's like, he's a wife guy, but not in a creepy way. Okay, so Jessica, I like her. I've always liked her. She's not like the most interesting character, but I just thought she was cute, and I thought she kind of had a realistic representation of just a teenage girl, the way that she spoke, her little crush on Kanon, the way that she would talk with Shannon, like the girl talk and stuff. I thought she's really cute. I don't have too much else to say about her. Her design's really adorable too, and I love that she's kind of like rough around the edges for the Ushiromiya family. I'm like, Krauss and Natsumi are so kind of stuck up their butts a little bit, whereas Jessica's kind of like that rebelling, foul-mouthed daughter. I love that trope. So yeah, I like her. So I'm gonna put her kind of mid B. Okay, so Kanon, I will put, actually no, I'm gonna put Jessica above Hideyoshi. And I'm gonna put Kanon. We're gonna stick it seems appropriate. We're gonna stick him above Jessica. A Kanon, not like a super. He's not a flashy character. He's kind of a background character. He's very quiet. He keeps to himself. But I have to put him here alone for the moments where he pulls the blade out during the fight with Beatrice, which is probably one of my favorite moments and certainly one of my most memorable moments from my playthrough, where I said, like, if he pulls a goddamn blade out, I'm going to lose my mind, and then he did. So that moment alone, I loved it so much. If Kanon pulls out a blade, like a blade like that thing, I'm gonna lose my mind. What the fuck? You literally just did it after. What? And yeah, he's just a cool guy, and I like him. I just think he's neat. Okay, next up, Kinzo. Oh man, he's another one I have a lot of feelings for. Oh gosh. he's an interesting character. The thing is that the whole time, big spoilers, but you guys should know this, that he's just been dead the whole time. The fact that Krauss and Natsumi were keeping that a secret as if he were still alive, but the moments where he shows up and, you know, crying for Beatrice and just going insane, but then learning his backstory, problematic. You know, at first it seems sweet, you know, despite the fact he's having an affair with a woman that he met like years and years ago, Beatrice, the original Beatrice, and their relationship seems really sweet. And then she dies and has a daughter, and then he basically wants to use the daughter as a replacement for Beatrice, and you can only assume what happens from there. So gross. He's definitely one of the more morally bankrupt characters for that. Like there is the moment in later on where he seems to show, you know, like when he finally gets confronted about it. I believe Sayo like confronts him about that, and he like has a breakdown and apologizes, but it's a little too far gone at that point, my dude. You can only blame grief for so much, so I'm gonna put him... God, people are probably gonna have opinions about that. Because the thing is, he's a well-written character, but, like... I just... Putting him at low C, I'm sorry. Okay. Now, Krauss is probably the Ushiromiya sibling I have the least opinion on. I don't care for him either way. So I'm just gonna stick him kinda in between Featherine and Genji. Yeah, he's kind of, you know, the like arrogant oldest sibling who's the supposed to be kind of like the one that's going to inherit everything. And then it's kind of neat when you learn that he's been playing his siblings and that he's been keeping up this ruse about Kinzo being alive for years. So like gotta give him props to that, but other than that, like I'm trying to really think. The moment where he fought the goats was kind of neat too, but he didn't really have any standout moments for me. Okay, now a character that I love, even though she's a little bit of a despicable person in her own way as well, not as much as some of the other characters for sure. I love Kyrie, another girl boss. Now, I said that Eva was the most intelligent of the Ushiromiyas. I said by blood specifically, and this is why, because Kyrie, she is the sharpest. Like, she has the intuition, the crazy intuition. I think she was the one, could be mistaken on this, I feel like she was the one who first had the feeling that something wasn't right about, like, the whole thing with the Kinzo situation. Then she basically talked to everyone else about it and be like, I think something's going on here. I think they're hiding something. So it's a little bit of a toss-up. Who's actually the more... I feel like Eva is more like book smart. I feel like she's very intelligent that way, but I feel like Kyrie, she's more street smart. Her perception is amazing and her intuition is impeccable. And she has some badass moments, like her and Rudolf fighting off the sisters, the Seven Stakes. Her facing off against Jessica, the whole thing about, like, you can't defeat a woman who basically has been burning with envy for years. Like, when you learn about the backstory about her having an affair with Rudolf for years and just biding her time to basically swoop in, like, girl knows what she wants and she does what she can to take it. Like, she is very ambitious. And you think that she hates her children and she hates Badler. And it seems to be that way, but then you kind of learn the truth a little bit, and doesn't seem as... Like, that moment where she basically says, I don't care about my children, I only care about money. And it seems like she even hates Angie and resents her. And then you learn that's not quite the truth. But yeah, Kyrie is a very complex character, but I love her. So I'm actually going to put her... Ooh. I'm going to put her on S tier. I'm going to put her on low S tier. No, you know, I'm going to put her next to her daughter. There we go. Okay, next is Leon. I can't remember how it's pronounced. Kind of similar in that it's like a character that basically was only introduced for one chapter. Um, and I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, their gender was never really revealed. So I'm just going to refer to Lion as they, because even the story didn't really ever give it away whether Leon is a boy or a girl. Kind of like the alternative, what if Sayo was taken in by Natsui and was not thrown off the cliff and was accepted into the family and loved. The perfect loop, basically. The game board where none of that stuff had to happen because Beatrice never had to be created. So kind of a blank slate almost, a character who's just like very prim and proper and like the perfect successor, very intelligent. I liked, mostly I'm gonna put them on low B because of the relationship with Will. I loved their back and forths, and I loved just the obsession with pinching his butt. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Okay, Nanjo. Nanjo, kind of certainly a central character, like, to setting up all of the games, basically, because he was kind of like the authority since he's the doctor, so he was able to kind of throw people off and things like that, and people just trusted his word. So he did play a part in it, but as a character, nothing too crazy, so we'll go ahead and stick him slightly above Kumasawa. Alright, Natsui is probably the one of the family members I have the most sympathy for, other than Maria, because this poor woman, just beaten down by everyone. Now, she's not a great person. She literally threw a baby off a cliff, so she's not without faults. She certainly is not without faults. But yeah, like, learning her backstory just seems to be disrespected by everybody in the family. Like, Krauss loves her, but he has his moments where the way he treats her, I was like, oh, I don't like you, my dude. But she had some really awesome moments, like when I think it was in the very first chapter, where she's like the last adult left alone, and she goes in with the gun, is like, I will protect the children. When she's like, I am Natsumi Ushiromiya, it's like, I will, basically, I will defend the Ushiromiya. She's very proud of that. She desperately wants to be accepted by Kinzo, and just learning that she made up these conversations with a dead Kinzo where he is like, I know everyone else doesn't respect you, but I respect you. Like, she's just so desperately longing for respect from the Ushiromiya. She just takes such pride in it. And then the chapter where she's accused of being the murderer. Oh, absolutely heartbreaking when she's put on trial and Battler comes to her defense, like, oh, so sweet. So she has done some not so great things, but I just feel like I root for the underdog, and to me, she's kind of the underdog of the family. So I'm gonna put her... Oh, where should I put her? I'm gonna put her high... No. I feel like... Oh, I'm gonna put her... I'll put her right below Eva. I find Eva a more entertaining character. Okay, next is Ronove. Ronove is he's just such a suave character. He's a minor character. He doesn't really give much to the story. I believe Ronove, he's kind of like the personification of like the young Genji, or something to that effect, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a cool character. I love the way he talks. I love his voice actors. Oh, the voice is so good. And he's just such a cool character. So based off vibes, we're gonna stick him right kind of in the middle of B. Alright guys, you've probably been waiting for me to talk about Rosa. Rosa. Rosa goes in D. I don't like her. There's not too many characters in D. I'm gonna get some people who are gonna be heated in the comments. Like, I remember in my Umineko playthrough, whenever I would comment about how much I hated her, oh, the Rosa defenders would come out, and hey, I respect your opinion. You know what? All of these characters are not perfect, but I got so heated whenever she was talking down to Maria, smacking her around, learning that she literally left Maria on vacation so she'd go off when the man left her by herself, breaking her toys. Oh my goodness. Oh, I just, I don't like her. And like, I feel bad for her because she's the youngest and no one respects her. And so it's like she takes it out on Maria, and also because, like, you know, she got left by the, you know, Maria's father, and it's like crazy too. When I first like met her in the game, or in the visual novel, I was like, oh, she seems so sweet. Like, she came and she's like, I brought tea for you. I think it was for Kyrie or Natsui. I think it was like, Natsui, you have headaches. I brought this tea for you. I brought some candy for the kids. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, she's like the cool, sweet aunt. And then you learn the truth. Now, I know Rosa feels a lot of, like, she loves Maria deep down. There's very, very complicated feelings there, but I don't really care. I still don't like her, so we're keeping her on D. Alright, Rudolf is... So he's the sleaziest, I would say, of the Ushiromiyas. Like, he's just like that sleazy businessman, like scamming people. He's just not a good guy. But he's... I like the way he talks. He's like that sleazy but kind of oddly charming businessman, and you can see how he scams people. I like his design. Like, he's got that kind of like, yeah, a little bit of a sleazy, slick businessman. But I do like his relationship with Kyrie. I love the two of them together. They are just power couple goals. And he has some really badass moments. Like, I picked the one with him with the gun, because like that was a cool moment. And yeah, his relationship, I love the way that like he would go back and forth with Badler and stuff, like that they would just shit talk each other. So I'm gonna put him, I'll put him, let's say, in between Jessica and Hideyoshi. Okay. So another character I'm like, I don't have too many feelings about them is Tohya Hachijo. This whole thing with like, yeah, with her being introduced, it just made things, it just feels even more confusing because it introduced something completely different about how like she's an author and this whole thing about the story when Angie goes to meet her. Yeah, once again, like the way she talks is very roundabout. She's a very mysterious character. But I don't mind her and I like her design, so I'm gonna stick her under George. Oh, my little baby Shannon. She's so sweet. Okay, I really like Shannon. Just sweet little cupcake. Like, even look at that little face. She's so cute. So sweet, so innocent. But has her moments too where she wants to, like, protect George, and when she, like, pulls out the magic as well. And I don't know, I like her, so I'm gonna put her low A tier. Okay, now with Goda, I don't hate him. He's kind of a nothing character. He kind of just fucks everything up. Didn't he, like, screw up? He, like, misspoke or something, and he, like, ruined the plan or something, like, because he said something, and I believe Erika caught on to it, so he, like, bumbled the whole thing. And he doesn't have the best intentions, like, he's a little bit of a suck-up and everything, but he's basically, he pushes the blame if anything goes wrong to the other workers. So I'm gonna put him low C, but I don't hate him. He's just kind of there. Then we've got Virgilia, I can't remember how to say her name. She's an interesting character because she goes through a couple of, like, at first she seems like she's been kind of put down to help Badler out, and she seems like kind of like she's like the, original Beatrice, I believe. Like, she's the one who is like, oh, I made Beatrice the way she is, or something like, or I didn't discipline her, so I'm gonna come in and help you out because she's kind of my responsibility. And then you've got the turn at the end where she ends up being an evil witch as well. That was cool. And then later on, she just kind of doesn't do much. So I'm gonna put her on low B. Will, can I put a character up on S tier just because they're hot and cool? So like I said, I did the same thing with Akasaka. But no, we didn't get to know too much about Will. He was basically just in for a very short time at the end. But the time he did have, he likes cats, He's good with a sword. I love his design. I love his clothing, his whole like aura, the way he protected Leon Lion, however you pronounce it. So I'm gonna put him. I'll put him kind of mid A tier. Sakutaro, kind of annoying. Cute design, kind of annoying. So I'm gonna put him right here. Don't have too much else to say. Kasumi, and I love the picture I used for her. I found this picture on Google and I had to use it. She's gonna be my other D tier. She's just despicable character, willing to kill off her niece, I believe, just because she hates her sister so much. She's not meant to be a likable character. There's not too much dimension to her. So that's all I have to say about that. Eva-Beatrice. Now here's the thing is I know that there's, oh shoot, I should have put Eva, or the witch Angie. Shoot. I didn't think about that. That's the thing. This is so hard to do because there are so many different versions of different characters, so it's hard to like include them all. But I feel like Eva-Beatrice was such a cool character. I loved her design. I love when she came in the whole thing with like the spider web. That was such a neat moment. But yeah, like witch Angie is just kind of whatever. Like there was not too much difference between her and regular Angie personally, but I feel like Eva-Beatrice was a very different character from the regular Eva. Just like a part of Eva that is like, what if I won and basically like I have all this power. So yeah, just she was really cool. I liked her design. She had a really some neat moments in the game. So I'm gonna put her. I'll put her, where should I put her? I'll put her right here. And then the last character is Juuza Amakusa. I had to write it down because I was like, I'm definitely going to forget. So yeah, neat character, the former bodyguard of Eva, who then became Angie's bodyguard after Eva died. And he just, he's neat. I like his design. I like he's got kind of a womanizing, cocky personality. I love the way that he would like talk with Angie and their back and forths together. I just like their relationship. But not much else to say about him, so I'm gonna just kind of stick him right there. Okay. All right, so that's it, guys. That is my Umineko character tier list. Like I said, I apologize for a lot of characters being missing, but there's just some that I didn't want to put on the list because I didn't have much to say. And even with some of the characters I did put on here, I realized I had less to say about them than I thought I did. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I might have some controversial opinions, even more so than the Higurashi one that I fear, but it will lead to good discussion, surely, in the comments. You guys can let me know what your thoughts are, where you think certain characters would be in your tier list. Yeah, so as for what my next tier lists are going to be, my husband and I are going to be working on a sequel to tier list we did last year, which is ranking anime waifus and husbandos as suggested by you. So I'm going to be doing my ranking of husbandos. He is going to be doing his ranking of waifus. We should have those coming out hopefully before the end of December. I don't have a specific date on that because that one requires a bit more editing, but hopefully you're looking forward to that. So let me know what you think, guys. This was a lot of fun. And if you have suggestions for any other tier lists, I'm sure people are going to say Danganronpa. That may be coming down the line. Do you know how many characters are in that? That's going to have to wait a bit. I might have to do one based on like each individual game. So that could be a possible one. But yeah, if you guys have any recommendations for like other tier lists you'd like to see me do, leave those in the comments. I'd love to hear them. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for my future tier list this month. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Revealing Storm, Lynn's VA, Kenju Storm, Icognito, and Bad Cat.